Don't believe smart traffic consultants like me just because we've got a really fancy model that tells you it's true. Traffic demand models are about as good as tarot cards at predicting the future. They're reasonably good at comparing alternatives against one another, but you need to make sure that they're calibrated against reality and that the magic-induced demand and disappearing traffic that we've seen in all the empirical studies are actually factored into the science behind the models. Point number 2, very important for New Orleans as it was for San Francisco and Seattle, pay very, very close attention to trucks and freight movement. The lifeblood of New Orleans will continue to be its relationship to the river and along it. Really, as cars are expensive, make sure that you're making it easy for freight to get around, but also realizing that for freight, it's oftentimes the 1,000 small improvements that are more important, rather than the one big freeway. So making sure that the traffic signal system works for trucks, that they have routes that they can use that are reliable. There are oftentimes much smarter things to do for goods access than just holding on to freeways that have outlived their useful life. Number 3 is the grid. Great cities have fine grids of streets, and what's great about grids is that they accommodate a lot of cars while also making cities work great for walking and biking and transit. They're also the best way of dealing with emergency evacuation because they provide so much redundancy. One piece of your grid infrastructure goes out, no problem. You could lose a quarter of your streets and still move people out. You lose one of your freeways, and the freeway is blocking the streets underneath it, you've got a big problem. Point number 4, think about the economy and the relationship between the larger economic role of the city and what you need freeways for. Point number 5, be very, very cautious and conscious of the social impact of major changes in freeway and other transportation infrastructure. Make sure that the costs and benefits of changing your transportation infrastructure accrue equitably across all spectrums of society, and in particular, pay attention to people who have been historically disadvantaged to make sure that when you make a change, that benefits accrue to them in particular. Point number 6 is probably the most important, and that is, if New Orleans tries to compete against Houston and Baton Rouge and other suburban places on their terms, New Orleans is going to lose. New Orleans, like San Francisco, is only going to succeed if it competes on its own terms.